exactly 9 because everybody has a responsibility. We are busy people, so we try to honor that, and I don't think we've ever been late to end the meeting on time. But today is a special night. We are going to end it at 9:30, and I know this is one of those topics where you want to speak through the night, but because of our time, again, we're going to aim to end at 9:30 officially. So if there is any overflow, it will be an overflow after we have completed the meeting. So again, thank you so much for coming. I don't want to take too much time. I want to give it up to our guest speakers. We have 2 sets of speakers, as I told you guys. And first of all, we have Minister Dennis and Lulu. I know them for quite a bit. We are good friends, and I have loved them, guys. And there's something that they teach me whenever I see them, how they do things, how they work things. They live a public eye. They're public people. They express themselves, and I just admire their marriage, their love for each other. You should see how they poke each other on the internet, Facebook. It just shows what God has done. I'll share. Let me see what I can share. I'll share something as we go. Something that really interested me. So thank you so much for being part of us to teach us the ways of marriage. And then we have David and Julie. These are dear friends. Believe me, I've known these guys since they were kids. I have that honor to say that because that's the truth. I've known them, and then when my wife came, we married. We still continue to know their life, so we know their story. It's been an encouragement to see what God can do through 2 people who seriously, agree together to obey God. And because of their obedience, today they are an example to young people like us. So it's 8:20. I want to give the floor to Minister Dennis and Lulu to take us to the next 25 minutes. They are free to discuss dating. And if they want to sprinkle something about marriage, it's okay to sprinkle that. We want to hear that. And then after that, we'll move on to our next guest, and I'll tell you the format we're going to do with our other friends. So welcome, Minister Dennis and Lulu.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. We're going to do our best to keep it at 25 minutes. That's going to be ending, I believe, it's 8:20, so 8:45, we're going to wrap it up. So without further ado, let's first of all introduce ourselves. I'm Dennis Masawe, my wife Lulu Masawe. We've been married for 22 years, and we have 3 kids. One is 21, a boy, and a 17-year-old girl, Deborah, and the last born is 15 years old. So we are working our way up there, and God has been good. God has been gracious through the 22 years. We've had our share of ups and downs, but it's all about growing together. So for those who are married in this forum, you will have to know how to grow together. You are never going to be a perfect couple, but you're going to have to grow to learn to grow together. Your 3 years in marriage is going to change after kids come. You're going to have to relearn the skills. The kids going to grow up. You're going to have to relearn the skills. So it's always about learning, relearning, and upskilling. Learning, relearning, and upskilling, meaning skills. You gotta up your skills in communication, in finances, and in the topic that everybody wants to, sex. Okay, so those are the 3 areas. You're gonna have to always gonna learn, relearn, and upskill. You're gonna have to do that. So today we are talking about dating, but I see in the forum we have also married couples. So we're gonna have to, we'll try to dance in between, but at the end of the day, we are all going to get what is beneficial to us. I've taken the introduction too long. Did you have anything to say first? No? All right. Okay, so to begin with, I'd like to introduce our working verses. Only two working verses. One is going to be Matthew chapter 7, verse 5. Matthew chapter 7, verse 5. And the Bible says, New International Version says, "You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." So now that's one verse. The other verse says, "How can you say to your brother, 'Let me take the speck out of your eye,' while there is still a beam in your own eye?" So what does that mean? It really means that in a very simple way, when I point a finger at her, as married couples, there's 3 fingers pointing back at me. I have to do a self-check all the time. Now, in dating, it applies too, that as you want to go for that somebody, you're going to have to look at the 3 fingers pointing back at you and really think, which we're going to talk about it as we move on. So the next chapter, that the Bible verse that we're going to anchor ourselves in, is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. We all know this. "Do not be yoked with unbelievers." Just saying that you can't walk together if you're not in a partnership, if you're not together. So we'll work through these verses, and hopefully they help us kind of get some lessons out of today's subject. Now, dating. We come from Africa, I believe, most of us here. So we have an understanding based on that culture. We're in America, it's a different culture. But again, we are believers, we are Christians. So there is the biblical culture. And therefore, before we start discussing about dating, the very important question that we have to ask, and we asked ourselves before we started dating, at least I did, but it's the question that anybody here who is not married and is on this journey, you're going to have to ask the most important question: why? Why is a question that is oftentimes not asked. People always want to ask how. How do I do it? How can I get better? How? But the most important question is why. So the question would be, why? Why do I want to date? Because if you don't ask the question why, you will not give yourself the opportunity to understand fully what you're getting into. Why? So maybe I would make this, kind of interactive. My wife is here. Maybe when we started dating, what was your why? How did you answer the question why? Why did you want to date?
Because I wanted to get married.
There you go. Very simple. Because she wanted to get married. Okay? That's an answer. Some people, young people today, you ask them, why do you want to date? They would give you the common answer: because everybody does it. Everybody doing it. I want to fit in. I look awkward. I gotta play the part. I gotta have somebody to love me. Somebody, So There is a why, and that's the most important question. So when we don't take care of the why, we get in problems. If your why is to have companionship, then you have to understand how you're going to work your why. Because if you're young and you're not planning to marry any soon, and you get into the dating game because your why is, I just want to have a companion, or I want to fit in. So you get in a dating game with that why, answering that way. But the problem is there are a lot of moving pieces. So you just responded to your emotion. You've responded to a peer pressure situation, and so you felt that it is necessary for you to date. Maybe for fulfillment, maybe for companionship, or just to fit in and look cool. But here's the problem. You have emotions. You're not just a walking dead body. You are one young heck of a beautiful woman, and here's one heck of a hank of a man, and you all have emotions, and some of you got some curves and all that, and some got six packs. So now there are triggers. You are not a piece of wood walking without any emotions. You got emotions. So you're going to look at that baby girl, young man, you're going to be like, ooh, and then the girl is like, ooh, and at the end of the day, there's going to be some chemistry. There's going to be a liking. And always, because of what informs our truth, quote unquote, these days, truth meaning what we want to believe, we will end up, or you will end up taking it one step further. Let's hold hands. Oh, it's not enough. Let's hug. It's not enough. Because we're Christians, let's sit far apart a little bit, but hey, can we go to a movie? Can I hold your hand? And slowly, but not, slowly and without any understanding, you get deeper and deeper. And if you know what I mean, it ends into a lot of emotions getting involved. And then trouble happens, because then kissing comes in, and kissing, and then kissing, and further things go down south. Now, my philosophy has always been, if you are not about to get married, how about you socialize and not specialize? I repeat, if you're not going to get married soon, how about you socialize, but not specialize? If your why is answered by the fact that you want to specialize, get that one person who's going to love me, who's going to feel my emotions, I can pour my heart out, and you're not planning to get married any soon, my suggestion, my recommendation is, you will set yourself up for a lot of trouble from your school, your education, and many other stuff. So I think, in my opinion, or in my humble opinion, to stay away from trouble, a lot of pain, a lot of disappointments, how about you socialize? You meet Johnny, Johnny meets Gracie, and there's nothing to go beyond ownership. It's nothing like that. So that you avoid getting yourself into situations that are going to be difficult. I'm going to let my wife talk a little bit on that. What say you?
Honestly, I'm thinking back in our days, 22 years ago. And Dennis and I went to the same church. Actually, he was my choir director. I used to sing on the choir he directed. I couldn't sing well, so he always had to correct my singing. Now I look back, I think it was just a way of him getting my attention. He really wasn't trying to teach me how to sing. But, thinking back, There are things we did, and now we're like, maybe we could have done them different. So I'm having to pull back. But here's the thing. I think the conversation with dating is two-part. There's that person that's thinking about dating. How do I go about it? What's the best way to do it? Am I even ready to commit? And then there's the second part where, okay, like me, I was ready to get married. I wasn't having you in my space. If you weren't serious about getting married, I wasn't going to play the games. I wasn't going to be dating 5, 6 people. So there's two part, the person that's like, okay, I'm ready to commit. I'm ready to be married. Or somebody is in the vicinity. How do I handle that journey? And those are two different worlds. We have a saying in our home, and our kids always challenge us. We tell them, in this family, there's no such thing as dating. Now we have a conflict because of the culture. They're like, but how am I going to get married to somebody I don't know? I need to date. We're like, no, you don't need to date. You socialize with everybody around your world, whether, they're male, female, whatever. When you're ready to commit, you go from socializing to figuring out who it is and get into courtship. We don't have that little dating zone. And so when I think of this conversation, you guys, if we really want to be honest with you guys, that's how we look at it. And it might seem very rigid, but we've seen too many people hurt so much, and it's affected their marriages, for a very long time because of the dating situation, and it was just handled lightly. Where, a guy dates a girl, breaks up with her, dates another girl, breaks up. Then they get into marriage and they don't have a sense of commitment because to them, it's still the dating game. So, there are a couple different ways to look at it, but when you read the Bible, if you really read the Bible and look through scriptures, find somebody who dated like 3 people, 4 people. I'm still looking, I haven't found them. And if we really want to go according to the word, we have friends, we have community, and you figure out when you're ready to settle down with somebody, the task is figuring out who it is and then beginning that journey. So I guess that's my 2 cents on the...
And they are great 2 cents. Here's the thing. The notion of no dating zone, just socialize, I know it bothers a lot of young people, but it bothers them because they have been handed the wrong type of goods. You look at Hollywood, we always say, I've been in production, I've been in the entertainment industry, I understand. And so entertainment shapes culture, media shapes culture. So if we look, for instance, when a child sits on a set of television and all they see is kissing, girl, boy, walking together, then they leave, then they get another girl, it's embedded in their minds that that's a norm. And they grow into being teenagers. They can think now, they can see. It's already embedded in them. That's the quote unquote, the truth that they've seen. So we look at the real life, which is R-E-E-L, real, for the movie. It's not real, R-E-A-L, life. So you find out that many people, young people, especially in this culture, they've been trained to understand relationship as that. You date, you don't date, you get this one, you have sex with that. Okay, you could say we don't have, but there are emotional implications. Being dumped is not easy. Is there any guy here who's been dumped? I've been dumped before I got married to her, and I know how it feels, okay? How many girls have been kicked on the side of the curb and they're hurting? So then this is what happens. You get into marriage, you faced rejection. You faced rejection over and over, maybe during your teen years. And you come and you get married, and here you have a husband trying to love you, or you have a woman who tries to love you, but because of the inculcated, all the breakups and all that stuff, emotional baggage, you have problems. So now, let's move forward. We're on a crunch time here. Here's the deal. When you answer why, you have to think of these components. And this is what we did, during our courtship. There is social implication, there is financial implications, there are mental implications, health implications, and spiritual implications. Okay? These are 5 simple, we just broke it down that way: social, financial, mental, health, spiritual. When you answer, if you are in the dating process that leads to a courtship, you're going to have to answer those questions. What is, am I yoking, according to the Bible, 2 Corinthians 6:14, with somebody that we could dance together, we could tango together? Is there compatibility? Are we so diametrically opposed? Now, 16, 17, how can you start answering these questions unless, of course, you're taught? If you're 16, 17, you're taught that, okay, when you answer the question why you want to date, have you thought about social implications? Have you thought about financial implications? Have you thought about health? What if you get pregnant? What are you going to do? Okay. Have you thought about financial implications that, well, you're going to have to pay for you to take the girl out, you're going to have to take, all this stuff. And sometimes my 21-year-old son says, boy, I know I'm not going to spend money now. Oh boy, the girls can be expensive, So it's because we've put it in him like, hey, look, liking that girl and dating that girl with no plan to get married, so there are financial implications. And then now expand it further, these 5 points, expand it further this way. When you answer the why in your dating ideas or in your courtship ideas leading to marriage, these 5 pillars are expanded into the following. There are development issues involved. How developed is the individual? Okay, some of them, they look 20, but they're 16-year-olds in their heads.
Children in adult bodies.
Yeah, so you gotta think. There's development issues. There is interpersonal issues. People are born in families that have drama. So there are interpersonal issues. People are dealing with stuff. They've come maybe in this context. People have left, maybe they've come from, what do they call them? Blended families, the 4th one. And so when you date this person, they don't understand the concept of divorce is a problem. They don't get it. So when you answer the why, think, okay, they get married. I mean, you date somebody who comes from a family that the F word drops every day, or there is fighting, it's normal, there is shouting, it's normal. Interpersonal issues. So they've been shaped by their background. And then there is family issues. There is identity issues. There is cultural issues. And there is control issues. All those are issues that you have to deal with as you think about dating and marriage. So 4 minutes. I'm going to let my wife wrap it up. And then we get to question and answers.
It's really a very serious time in life, when you're getting into dating. I think we underplay it as a community. It's like you almost leave people to figure themselves out and go date, go try, discover. But it's more serious than that, because it builds expectations and matters of the heart that you will carry into relationship forever, for as long as you live on this earth. So, we really need to pay attention. My 2 cents are: give yourself time. Don't rush yourself. Don't feel rushed. We have expectations as a community. Hey, when? But you know what? Give yourself time, because this is a building block that you will take into your marriage. And there's some people that are like, I don't want to get married. Well, if you don't want to get married, you don't need to be dating nobody. If you don't want to get married, why are you dating? There's a conflict. I think it's like a new fad. I don't want to get married. Almost like I'm not desperate. I don't need somebody. And if that's what you're saying, then you don't need to be dating. You need to be single and fulfilled. And one of the biggest things as we wrap up is what marriage is: two people who are complete in Christ, for our perspective, coming together. You know, Dennis does not complete me. He does not complete me. As popular as that saying is, he does not complete me. Christ completes me, and Christ completes him, and together we bring 100% to make it a whole. You know, I think we put so much expectations on the partner, on the spouse, on the person you're with, because he's supposed to complete you. And so I think if it's one thing I can leave you guys with is take your time and remember you're building into a lifelong journey. So allow God to work through you, to show you things that you can adjust even before you become part of somebody else. And it's always, you'll never be able to fix somebody. I can't fix him. I can't teach him. I mean, gosh, when I met him, we were 19 and 20. I could teach him, you know, his mama had taught him, his daddy had taught him, but I could work on me.